is the 121st episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the third week of January 2013. This episode is titled Spring 13 Madness. CloudFocus Weekly is brought to you by Arkus, cloud computing experts. I'm your host, Jason Atwood, and joining me for the 121st time here in the 17th podcasting studio, now in a darker room. Not really made for podcasting. We've been kicked out of the first three podcasting studios.
How many studios have we gone through?
We have a lot of studios.
Over the course of our 121 episodes?
We've been through at least 5 studios.
At least 5.
If you count like Dreamforce and hotel rooms.
Oh, wow. Forget it.
Yeah. We podcast from anywhere.
Anywhere.
I wish the mics were smaller and like more mobile. Because then you
We're in the cloud.
Yeah, these are not cloud mics.
These are not cloud mics.
These are dirt mics.
Server mics.
Speaking of server mics, we have an agenda today.
Always speaking of something.
We have 2 blog posts, one that's up and one that'll be up, but they're related, so we will talk about them. About Spring 13, Salesforce's latest release coming out in a couple weeks. And then you're going to tell me all about Relationships 2.0 from the Nonprofit Starter Pack.
I am.
And then I'm going to tell you all about going pro with Dropbox.
Sweet.
And then we're going to do some app picks. And I see you already stole my app pick.
I didn't steal anything.
You stole it.
I created the agenda, therefore I had the opportunity to make my pick first.
That's true.
You also are generally truant in putting your picks in the agenda because you don't want me to see them before you pick them.
That's right.
So that gives me the opportunity to pick things that you may have wanted to pick because I know we both got the same thing on the same
So I'm going to say your pick is good, but my pick's going to be more exciting when you hear about it.
Can't wait.
See, that's what I like.
Can't wait, though. I can't wait. I love hearing about your
reaction.
super exciting picks.
I have an old pick follow-up, and then I have
Oldie but a goodie?
And then I have an old pick new version. So
let's jump into Spring 13.
So if you go to blog.arkusinc.com, there are, as of tomorrow, so right now there's one called Spring 13 Rapid Reaction, which we didn't talk about last week.
Right?
We skipped it purposely. And then there'll be another one up in the blogging series called Why Salespeople or What Salespeople Should Be Excited About for Spring 13. I don't know. Is it Why Salespeople?
Why salespeople should be excited about Spring 13.
Okay. So from a sales perspective.
Very much from a salesperson's perspective. We thought that...
Is there another one coming up called Why Janitors Should Be Happy About Spring 13
Maybe.
Releases?
But we always do these release notes, the rapid reactions, and they're very broad stroke, just like the release notes have become very broad.
147 pages.
Lots of pages and density, and all the different products are all being covered. So we decided that we would this year focus on sales primarily because
for the whole Salesforce thing.
We still think of Salesforce a lot as still Salesforce automation as its core thing that it does.
95% of people who use it for that.
So we wanted to focus on that a little bit with a follow-on to the rapid reactions specifically for salespeople.
Are you saying it's like written for the dumb sales guy to read?
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. So let's talk about them both. Why don't you pick one feature out of the your blog post and tell me what your favorite one is.
I usually give 5, and in here are there 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
So I'm going to pick one that has annoyed me for the last couple of months that they're rectifying.
Okay.
And it's the add a single contact to a shared activity. And while that seems like a ridiculous title for a feature, add a single contact to a shared activity, sort of counterintuitive.
Let's just be clear. They broke something, and they're fixing it with a feature.
So back in the day, before shared activities,
before many who,
you used to, when creating an activity, be able to click in the box where you were relating it to a contact and just start typing someone's name. Now, when you click in that box, it brings up that big search screen and forces you to search for the person.
Right.
You used to just be able to type the person's name into the box, and it pretty much added a few steps to creating activities, events, and tasks.
I'm surprised that one made it by the usability team. It's one of the ones that, like, if they had me, and I just sat through a usability testing with Salesforce and went over one of their features or stuff that's coming out. Don't know what I can talk about.
I love doing that. You can't talk about anything.
Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about anything other than I was there, or maybe
Yeah.
I wasn't. Who knows? You can't even prove that.
Well,
I was
they
there.
record it, so they can prove it. The ambiguous they.
And I'm just surprised that made it through.
Wasn't that
because
crazy?
It went from
really
from something, by the way, you could do without losing your mouse,
right,
to something you had to use a mouse to click once, twice,
right.
3 times in a row.
So having to, now you will be able to once again just start typing a person's name in the name field and on an activity, whether it be a task or an event. And all of a sudden, you can actually just, not have to use the search functionality if you want to relate it to one person, which is exactly what I want. So thank you for fixing something you broke by giving us more functionality.
It's interesting that you picked that one, because out of like 147 pages,
so much.
Oh, that's true.
Because I use Salesforce automation. I use tasks. I use events. I use them a lot. So this is a feature that hits me hard at home.
Yeah, the one I'm most interested from your list anyway is the tasks and chatter feeds. Like, to me, and actually a customer asked me about this, so they actually said, what's new in the release notes? I'm like, don't you read our blog? And I said, so I kind of went to your blog post and said, oh, well, here's what we picked out as a bunch of stuff. And they said, tasks in the chatter feed, what does that mean? I said, well, I think it means that everything's going into chatter, and tasks are a natural. They're something that are very useful, but they get lost in a related list way down in the bells of the 50, 60 related lists, or 10, 15 related lists you have. And so by bubbling them up into chatter, which is where people are working, and that's the theory, like that's why approvals went up there, or the chatter approvals. So it's kind of like, okay, so now I'm doing chatter approvals and I'm doing tasking. You can just see this natural progression where chatter is going to handle a lot of other things. I could see eventually being able to update fields on a record, sort of Siri-like, right? Like you say, Siri, make me a reminder for tomorrow at 2 p.m. to water the plants. I could see you typing into chatter. And again, maybe I'm just crazy thinking here. Update this opportunity to close 1, make the close date today, and do this. And chatter would then take that and push it down into the actual fields.
Have you played with this yet?
No.
You haven't. So I've played with it in
Oh.
the Spring 13 org.
Is it good or no?
It's good. You're thinking about it from one angle.
Yeah.
Like I create a task and it shows up in my chatter feed. But there's the other angle, which is actually the better one, which is the quick creation of a task.
From a chatter feed.
So
Right.
you're in chatter and, now you have the... I don't even know what they all are now, but you have the polls and
file
link. Well,
Yep.
You're going to have another one that just says task.
Right.
And you click that, and it asks you for a subject and a date. And you click save, and boom.
What about
task
assigning?
created. You're already on the record.
But I'm assigning to you.
Oh, no. It's just a quick create. It's literally like it may be something that people end up hating, but like a lot of admins turn off that sidebar quick create
Right.
thing because it can violate some rules around validation rules and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just a really quick way to create a task, and it shows up in the chatter feed. There are some downfalls.
But it creates a real task, like a real
task,
open activity
that's
task.
Right. Assigned to yourself.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's the default behavior for creating a task anyway. It assigns it to yourself.
Yeah,
obviously,
but I feel like the power of
chatter,
the power of task is not assigning tasks to myself. The power of task is assigning to other people.
Sure.
And I could see in the world of approval land, in chatter approvals, like this, or because again, we use chatter a lot like this. We use it as a hey, mention. Did you do this? Hey, blah blah blah. So I thought you were going to do like mention then task.
Yeah, there's
and then
not even a body to it.
Okay.
To the post.
So there's no
From
even
what
comments.
I recall, yeah, no,
just the subject.
no. There's comments, chatter comments.
But do they go into the comments of the task?
That I don't know. I haven't played with it enough. My guess is no.
Here's how I know I'm going to hate it.
Because there's a bunch of things you're going to not like about it, and I wrote about them in the blog post. There's some limitations, like if you re-relate the task to something else, the chatter feed doesn't go with it, so it stays on the old record.
That makes
if
sense.
you relate the task to two things, there's two separate chatter posts. So like let's say on a opportunity and a contact, two separate chatter posts.
Okay.
Therefore, if you're following both records, you're going to see it twice in your feed.
Okay.
You could comment on one or the other.
Oof.
So there's some things that need to be worked on, but it's a step in the right direction.
For me, tasking is so core to who I am. Sort of, I wouldn't call me a taskmaster, but kind of.
I would.
And I'm so deep in that land that like if tasks not taken seriously or done right kind of bug me. So
this is going to be 1.0 of something that they're going to really be working.
I mean, again,
So I expect some kinks to need to be worked out. As a matter of fact, I think in the blog post, I think I wrote all the things that people should go put ideas in the idea exchange already for, because of all the limitations that you're going to find. But it's a step in the right direction.
So moving on to the next one, why the sales team Spring one. I'm just going to bring up the one feature. It's mentioned 3. The unnamed one has mentioned 3 different features. I think the one that I'm excited about and the one that sort of will splash the biggest is definitely the general release of the Outlook side panel.
Right.
Which, for those of you who don't know, if you install the Outlook plugin and configure it in Salesforce as using the beta, I guess maybe no longer beta, side panel, it does what we've talked about before. Cirrus does
Cirrus does it in Gmail.
Yeah.
Zabni does it. May still do it.
And LinkPoint 360 does it.
Outlook.
Or LinkPoint is a Outlook thing of it. But basically, when you're on an email of somebody, it just automatically looks that person up in Salesforce and brings back context about this person, so who they are from the Salesforce side. So it's basically giving you context. This is going to be, part of me is really excited for this. Part of me is a little bit like, oh, this is going to push people into Outlook more, which I'm a little bit upset about because
people don't leave Outlook. They love it. It is what it is. It's a big selling point of Salesforce is that they have this native integration.
And this just makes it better.
It just makes it better. It is what it is. People love their Outlook, and they use it because that's where they live. A lot of people, for better or worse, live in email as their job. They just sit in that their inbox is always on their screen, and they're just waiting for the next email. And the email comes, and now they get more information. They get opportunities. They get activities.
Yeah.
They get the accounts, the contact data. It's cool. I've seen it because it's been out in beta, and it's cool. I've seen it working.
I've actually installed it and set it up on my machine on a virtual Outlook because I really wanted to play around with it. Yeah, it's very nice. And I guess if I was a power Outlook user, I guess I just feel a little left out because I'm a mail user, like mail.app. I don't use the Gmail very often, even though it is the back end of my mail. So I feel a little left out, and then I feel a little bit like it's just going to keep people, we like to, as we consult on Salesforce, we like to get people into Salesforce to do the work and not to sit in Outlook so much. But so I think it gives value to Salesforce, but it keeps people in Outlook, which there's still so much stuff you're missing if you're not in Salesforce, right? Those 4 fields you can see, okay, but I was setting up an account, contact the other day, and I was adding on a lot of fields because they track a lot of stuff.
Yes.
None of that's going to show up.
Yeah,
so,
I just did the same thing. I had to create for one of our clients a contact. The contact object has like 7 record types and 100 some odd custom fields.
There you
with
go.
7 different page layouts and different stuff, and none of that's gonna show up in any Outlook.
And
anywhere.
valuable stuff like and
all the stuff they actually care about.
Right, validation rules to say if you check the box retired, then it should then make you fill out the retired date, and there's also just stuff that you get when you're in Salesforce that I just worry that if you sit in Outlook, you're not going to get.
Well, there
any
is
of that.
the cool part is that you can click
and one click in,
already off,
single sign on.
Yeah, you're already authenticated through the plugin itself.
Well, that's nice.
So you're never more than a click away from actually getting into Salesforce.
And that might help people,
which is
as
I
opposed
think
to
very useful.
Click a browser,
right. If you click and then you have to log in, it's like this is a pain. Forget it. I don't even care. right?
What I do care about is relationships 2.0. So talk to me about it.
2.0. So for those nonprofit practitioners out there, and I know there's a few who are listening, the nonprofit starter pack has delivered or is delivering relationships 2.0. There was a webinar about it literally today. The YouTube video of it's already up. I'll say it's not the greatest demo in the world, but anyway, relationships are what they sound like. They're a connection between two contacts, and it's reciprocal. So
can you install just this package?
I will have to look into that for you. I know lots of the nonprofit starter pack are bits and pieces, and you can install just bits of it. Like we at Arkus use affiliations, which is part of the nonprofit starter pack. I have a feeling relationships can be installed on its own,
so
but
tell me about
I don't know. So it's a connection between two people, and it's reciprocal. So you and I are friends. So that would be, coworkers. So, you can create a relationship record between, from the Jason Atwood contact. It's a related list. Create new relationship.
Right.
And you relate it to another contact, Justin Edelstein. And in the drop down, you say coworker. And then you have a status, current, former.
Right.
And it creates a reciprocal relationship on the Justin side, where whatever you say is the opposite of friend or coworker. I guess those are bad examples.
Well, coworker would be same,
but you can have mother-daughter,
right?
Or
wife,
father,
husband,
daughter, wife, husband,
right?
And it creates. So if I'm looking at the Jason Atwood record, and then I'm looking at the Sarah Atwood record,
so very much what Partners does,
very much, right?
Right.
Except it does a few other things, and it used to do it really poorly. Now it's doing it really what looks like very well. It has the current former. It has a really cool text formula field that understands that it is current or former and understands the nature of the relationship. So it'll show a little text that says Jason Atwood is currently married to Sarah Atwood. A neat little text formula
so
field.
instead of showing the...
It shows everything, but it also has this little formula that you can use to, like, just at a glance, right? I can look at the Jason Atwood record and I can see all the
So instead of seeing a column, former or is married, title, married, whatever, you see this
puts it all together. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
There's also a relationship viewer, which is kind of neat.
I saw this being demoed on your screen, and I kind of looked at it, and I went, whoa, that looks very cool, but looks like a lot of eye candy. Is it, like, useful?
It looks useful because you can move and traverse through relationships, and it did, like, 2 or 3 levels down, too. So it's a graphical representation of the person who you click the button from, the contact, is in the middle. And all their relationships are kind of spoked out like wheels.
Yep.
And in the little lines, it says what the relationship to that person is. Son, daughter, whatever. And in some cases, it says former coworker, friend. So it's like they were formerly, when you change the statuses and who they and what it is, it sort of keeps that. And it says they used to work together, now they're friends.
Okay.
And then it can do, like, the level down even. So if another person has a relationship to somebody else, it can go further. Kind of like when you're looking at a LinkedIn profile and you see, like, you're connected to this person through this person. It has that kind of thing going on.
That's neat.
And what I thought was really, really cool was, like, you can set up these auto trigger things. So they gave 2 examples. The reports to field, the native one on a contact. If you fill in somebody in the reports to field, it can auto create a relationship that is boss employee, which makes a lot of sense, right?
It does.
This is this person's boss because they report to them.
Right.
You can also create a campaign called, this is really great for nonprofits or for anybody really, a referral campaign. So you can put people inside of a referral campaign, and it will through the campaign there's a special lookup on the campaign record itself of who the person is who's making the referral.
Right.
And then on the campaign member record, it knows that they were referred by this person. So then you can have and it auto creates a relationship between the referrer and the referee, which I think a lot of people are always looking for. Like, how did I come to find this person? Oh, they were referred by this person.
Right.
So there are a bunch of cool things. There's a settings screen now that allows you to manage the reciprocal stuff. Lots of stuff that some of the other things within the Nonprofit Starter Pack have had now for the last year, like setting screens and like you don't have to be an admin or like a developer to create a trigger.
Right.
It sort of like gave you this interface to create a trigger.
Nice.
So cool stuff. Keep it going, Nonprofit Starter Pack.
I like
people.
I'd like to use it for something else. All right. Last thing was just, I guess you threw this on the agenda because I tweeted it today.
Yeah. You went pro with Dropbox. Why'd you go pro?
Well, it's funny because I guess last year, so I was going to say the year of going pro, I went pro with Evernote last year, talked about that, and that was based on security. I started to track things in Evernote that I just didn't want to have people be able to get into, and on the iOS device, just put a extra password on it, and that was kind of, and you can have them sunk down, so you can have them, they're resident on your device, so you don't need to have an internet connection to edit them. And I was like, I need to get that. And I've been using Dropbox for a long time. We use Google Drive at work, and one of the limitations of Google Drive is you can't have more than one Google Drive account on the same computer at the same time. So I like Google Drive a lot, and I kind of thought I'd kind of want to use Google Drive personally. But actually, I started using Dropbox because you can have Dropbox and Google Drive running at the same time. And I like the features of Dropbox. Dropbox has great iOS apps, actually better than Google Drive. And the thing that it doesn't do is the thing that I don't care about, which is it doesn't allow you to collaborate on documents. Like I can't open up a document and collaborate with you at the same time. So I don't care about that in Dropbox. I want a place to put things in folders. I want to know they sync, and I want to be able to get to them from any device anywhere and know that there's a copy of them somewhere else, basically. So I had a bunch of stuff in there, but I was always limited by the space. It was like 3 gigs, but then if you invited friends, so I got it up to like 4.5.
You invited me. I know I gave you half a gig.
So I got up to like 4.5, and eventually it was this morning, I went to look for a screenshot of something that I sent out. You saw a copy of it from an old website I used to work on. And so I went to look for it, and I couldn't find it on my drive. I couldn't find it. Where is it? And I said, I remember that I dropped it on my Drobo, a whole set of files that I couldn't put in Dropbox because there was not enough space. And so I was like, that's it, I'm done. So I just went and paid for Dropbox the full version, or you just basically pay for space, which is, I think that if I were Dropbox, I would make there more in there because it feels like just space. You feel like, why?
How much space did you get?
100 gigabytes.
100 gigabytes.
Yeah, so I now have 104 gigabytes.
You paid by the...
No, you pay like a yearly or a monthly fee, and then you get the space.
So it's one price for 100 gigabytes?
So it's $99 for the year for 100 gigabytes.
100 gigabytes.
Yeah.
Is there a 50 gigabyte plan?
No, it's 100.
300 gigabyte plan?
Yeah, then it's 300. It's 100 and up. 100 was the lowest. I wish I could have bought 5. I would have bought 5 for like $2, but I couldn't. I bought 100. 100 was the
you would have
first
went
step.
To 5 gigabytes.
Well, I would have gone to 10. Like if I could have bought 5 more, I would.
Okay.
Like in Google
First
Drive,
step's
you can buy in chunks of 20. So you can buy 20, 40, 60, 80.
So first step's 100, and then can you go up to a terabyte?
I don't know
how far
can
you take it.
I don't know.
But you have 100 gigabytes.
Yeah, and I think, it's not a big deal, but I then went to my Drobo and I copied over 15 gigabytes worth of old files and stuff.
How long did that take?
Oh, not very. To actually sync up?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's done yet. I might have paused it. Well, I was on the road, and I didn't want to have it on a laptop doing it on the road, so I'll
That's
probably
cool.
sit.
Any difference in support or anything like that?
I don't know. I don't know about any of that. I just bought it for the space.
No more features, just space.
I would, again, if I were Dropbox, not that they're listening, I would, like Evernote does, I would build in a couple other things.
Listening.
I'd put in a couple other things.
Give you a little something.
Well, not just space, because space doesn't feel like you get it. Even if you said
space is really just space,
and maybe there's stuff in there that I didn't see. I just needed the space, so I did it. And again, it's been so reliable and so good for over a year or 2 years I've been using it. I was like, I'm in. Like, because I always try them, and I'm like, well, what happens if it's not very good? Like, we tried iDisk for a while, and it kind of turned out to be, or Mobile Me, and this has been so reliable, so good, multiple platforms, syncs it. It's great sharing. You go into a folder, click on one file, share it out. Like, it's great stuff. So anyway, went to that. So that is not my CloudFocus pick of the week.
No,
but what's yours?
All right, so let's get to the CloudFocus pick of the week. I am picking something that someone got me for the holidays. Finally getting around to picking it. And picking it's called the Wemo Switch from Belkin. So Wemo is capital W-E, capital M-O.
I'd love to act like I don't know what you're talking about. But not only did I have one, but I went and bought two more of them.
Two more because they are so cool. So the Wemo.
What's a Wemo?
So there's there's a bunch of different kinds of Wemo. I'm talking specifically about the Switch. And I think the Switch is like $45. There's ranges.
$47.50 on Amazon right now.
There you go. So
Prime.
So they range. Oh, and you're using it right now. So the Wemo it looks like a plug, like a electric plug that you plug into your wall, and it itself then has a plug on the outside. So it is a switch. You plug it in, you can then plug a lamp or anything with an electrical socket into it.
Yes.
Now that doesn't sound very exciting.
Not at all.
Here's where the exciting part comes. It is controllable via your mobile device, the Switch itself. So the Switch creates its own little Wi-Fi network, sort of.
To set it up.
Yeah, to set it up.
But eventually, it's meant to join your Wi-Fi network,
right.
where
you
can
then connect it up to your Wi-Fi network.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, it's this like networked Switch. So from anywhere, presumably.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because
I thought it was just going to work when I was on my Wi-Fi network,
right,
because the Switch is on my Wi-Fi network.
Right.
So I plug my lamp into it, right? I turn my lamp on, great. I plug it in, lamp's on. I download the app. I've got the app on my iPhone. It's called the Wemo app.
Yep.
I name my Switch my lamp, and I can turn my lamp on and off.
On your iPhone
by clicking a little button on my iPhone.
Yep.
Because I'm basically controlling the Switch from my iPhone.
Very
which
cool.
is so cool. Then I come to your place. I'm no longer on my network. And I'm like, I wonder if I can control my Wemo from here. And I can.
Yeah.
Which kind of seemed like, if I have an internet connection, I can control this Switch in my house.
Yeah. So there's two things to that. So you've described it very well. I went and bought two more. So I now have three of them around my house.
Yep.
And I even went further because I programmed one.
Yeah, well, they have timers. So the app itself is, you can either just straight use it to turn things on or off, or you can set the Switch on a timer. Like a lot of people, when they go on holidays,
right,
when they go away, they set a lamp to go on and off at 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. or whatever, to make it look like they're home.
Yep.
Doesn't fool anybody, but whatever.
So I then went for a walk and walked the dog, and I was on, AT&T network straight up, not connected, and I looked on the Wemo, and it tells you, the nice thing about on the app, and it makes sense, but it tells you what switches are on.
Right.
So you can literally peer into your house, sorta, and know, I have
it's
three.
Green.
Yeah, it's green. That means
the light in the living room is on.
That means I can, A, know if something's on when I'm away and turn it off, or B, know if someone's home using that light. So it gets kind of weird that way. But yes, you can control it. So then I started to have to think about it. Like, wait a second. That means there's an outside network connection somehow that I can get into and look at that Wemo. I'm not sure how it's done. I mean, I have theories. But anyway, very, very cool.
It's cool. It's from Belkin, who makes tons of stuff.
Yeah.
You can go to belkin.com/us/Wemo and take a look. You can also Google Wemo and you'll find it. Really cool. And they've got other Wemo things too. Like they have motion sensors.
That's it. They actually only have two things.
But they have things coming out in the future, like real switches, just built in, like Wemo switch.
So you put it on your wall, a wall switch, and then you can control that wall switch, which I think is when it gets really interesting.
Wemo's pretty cool. It's
I will then need 17
like
Wemos.
The networked house without having to really network your house.
Yeah, and we'll see. I'm actually testing it. I want three now. I'm playing with them all over the place. Do they show up? Can I do
one.
it?
I can think of one other place where I'd want another one, so I might get another one. But the Switch itself, I will say, is a bit bulky.
Yeah, it is bulky.
So if you think you're going to just like plug it into a power strip and it's not going to take up 3 or 4 spots, you'd be mistaken. Right. It's pretty bulky.
And the other thing is it's only on Apple. It's not on Android. It's one of the things.
Right.
So Android's coming this summer. I've clearly done some research on this. And then the other thing is you can hook it up to if this, then that, which has been one of my picks of the week. So you can now why you would want to do this, but you could.
No clue.
You could control it from Twitter. You could tweet a hashtag, and every time you did, it would then turn it on or off. Don't know why you would do that.
Why you would do that instead of just opening the app.
But if this, then that can hook up to lots of different services.
Right.
So
that's your way around it if you're an Android user, I guess.
Maybe there's things you think about or do or whatever, emails you send that turn on all your lights. You send an email to some service. I don't know. It's weird. But anyway, great pick.
What's your pick?
My pick is just a little app. Nothing, only Instacast 3.
Ooh, blew my mind.
Drop the bomb on you.
I don't think mine's updated.
No, it's new.
Oh, it's not going to update? I have to buy another one? You know what? That might force me to not use Instacast anymore.
So I have been having an issue.
Stick with I'll just switch to podcasts from iOS.
Let me explain.
Tell me why.
So I have been going back and forth, very frustrated with both podcasts and Instacast. They both kind of do a little bit of something, but they don't either do. What I want to do is basically have it sync better. So I've always been just having two, on my iPad or on my phone and just have it sort of be the same. Like, okay, so I've subscribed to the same things. And they both do a job, like the old versions, of at least keeping what you have subscribed to. So like if you subscribe to the CloudFocus Weekly podcast, it'll then download on both sides. But it doesn't really do a good job of keeping what you've read and where you are. And I found a feature in podcasts I really like, which is Sleep Timer. So you can actually set a sleep timer when you're going to bed. It's like, I don't want to listen to, 45 minutes of Jason and Justin. I just want to listen to 20 minutes and I'll be asleep. So in podcasts, you can say 20-minute sleep timer. So I went searching and I'm like, I need to find out why Instacast doesn't have this feature. And then I found Instacast 3. And I was like, well, why isn't mine updated? Because it's a brand new app.
Brand new, $4.99, but it looks like it is
actually universal this time.
But that's more than...
No, because the first one was $4.99 plus a $6.99.
That was $1.99. I might have gotten it real early.
Whatever. So, but here's the thing. They've moved... So then I was like, oh, do they sync? Yes, they sync. How do they sync? They don't sync using iCloud. They created their own sync because of iCloud's limitations.
Oh.
And I tested...
Added a syncing... Interesting.
Yeah, and it works much better. They said there's lots of limitations in what you can do over iCloud Sync. I was testing it using podcasts, try to sync things back and forth. Like, I wanted to see if I subscribe to something here, does it show up on the other one? And if I listen to something here, does it show up as read on the other one? That's all I wanted it to do. If I was in the middle of a show on one device, I wanted to be able to go
pick up. Right.
Yeah, pick up where I am.
Right.
Makes sense.
Like this show, you'd stop right now.
Yep, and then you go to the other device.
Go and listen.
Anyway, Instacast 3 does that. Nice new features. It's got a couple stuff. It has a sleep timer, has a new interface. Is it really worth $4.99? Only if you're a real big podcast listener. I literally subscribe to like 7 or 8 podcasts now, and I like the granularity of the control to say videos for these 2 podcasts download, but videos for these just tell me they're there because I might or might not want. Like TED, I don't download every TED, but Meet the Press, download it every week because I want it every week. It has
gotten a lot better, I will say. It used to not respect my preferences for what to do with old ones.
Delete or not
like
delete.
Delete or not delete.
Yeah.
It used to just keep them, and I'd run out of like storage, and it'd just have like 30 episodes of something all of a sudden. That's a daily. Now it just, I tell it, I only want the newest one downloaded so I could start it if I'm not somewhere where I can stream it.
Yep.
And it does that. So that's all I actually care about. So I'm likely not making this upgrade.
I have found that...
Unless they're going to just stop supporting
Well, of course, it'll eventually stop. Again, you spend a lot of time listening to podcasts. You should probably do it. So it's like, whatever.
But then there's podcasts from iOS, which I've never really given a shot.
You should. You should give it a shot. You'll go screaming back. Because it's just not as good. Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. Show notes. Show notes in Instacast. There are some podcasts, not this one, maybe we will this year, but there are some podcasts that list a really good set of show notes with links to things. Podcast doesn't give you any of that. It doesn't.
Don't we give the people a little something?
we give them like a note, but we don't give like links to everything we do. Like we don't put the links to the app. We don't put it in the show notes.
Why do we not do that?
We put it in the show notes on the web, not in the actual thing.
Shouldn't we do that?
Yeah, we'll talk to the blog postmaster or
That's
whatever.
You. I'm talking to him.
Whatever. So anyway,
give the people what they want.
I am Instacast 3. I'm going to test it. I'm heading off on a trip this weekend. I got lots of things. I got a new podcast I'm listening to.
Nice.
I will tell you, I will test it on both devices. I will try it instantly to see how well it keeps up.
You know, it'd be cool if you could share it with me.
Share what with you?
Well, if you could, like, I don't know if you can do this or not because I've never tried, but if you just, I think you were telling me, like, oh, there's this new podcast I'm listening to, and I should be listening to it too because I would like it. Can you, like, click some sort of share button and it sends me some sort of cryptic message that, boom, it just goes into my Instacast?
You know what?
Like, puts it into my Instacast somehow?
I
don't know if it sends me an iMessage and then I can, boom, it's in my Instacast.
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to send it to you right now and we'll see.
How are you sending it to me?
Email.
All right.
Yeah, so I just sent it to you by email. There's actually a bunch of them. There's show in iTunes, copy RSS Earl, send Earl as email, and tweet Earl. That's to the actual podcast.
So I wonder if when I get this email, if I click it, what will it do?
Well, it'll open up in, I think it'll say, what do you want to open this up in? And now I don't know if Instacast 2 will feature this, but whatever, give it a shot.
I'm going to give it a shot.
You give it a shot right now. Well, I'll close up the show while you give it a shot.
All right.
We are almost done. All right, well, that's it for this week. Remember, you can follow Just Edelstein and Jason M. Atwood on the Twitter.
It opened in Instacast, and it asked me if I wanted to subscribe. Boom, subscribe.
Boom,
subscribed. That just happened.
That just happened.
That was pretty cool.
That was cool. We need to be tweeting our podcast. If you want to subscribe to CloudFocus Weekly, go to iTunes and subscribe there. Use Instacast or 2 or 3. Use podcasts. It almost makes me want to go back. I'm sorry, I have to stop. It almost makes me want to go back and retry all of them because I feel like they might have had a lot of updates since I wrote that blog post a year ago, and maybe some of them are really killer or better in some ways. Anyway, go to blog.arkusinc.com, and we're in the Dreamforce portal. If you're still in there, you can go hang out. We're still there and talk about that. And until next week, we'll be back with another episode. Justin and Jason, anyway, of CloudFocus Weekly. And as always, enjoy those cloudy days.